Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something that's, well, it can be pretty uncomfortable when we think about intelligence. This isn't about your IQ score or how many degrees you have on the wall. No, this is about the sneaky, everyday habits that quietly limit how we think, often in ways we don't even see in ourselves.
So let me just ask you, straight up, are you as smart as you think you are? It's a tough question, I know, but a whole lot of psychology suggests that when it comes to judging our own minds, that's often where we get it the most wrong. And here's the real catch, the central paradox of it all. The biggest sign of having these unintelligent thinking habits is being absolutely convinced that you don't. The folks who need this message the most, they're usually the ones who are sure it's for somebody else.
So let's just redefine our terms for a minute. For our purposes here, intelligence isn't some fixed thing you're born with. Think of it as a dynamic set of habits. It's all about how you process information, how you react when your ideas are challenged, and, this is the big one, how you question yourself. It's a skill, not a score.
This brings us right to the first and, honestly, the most deceptive trap our minds can fall into, the feeling of being absolutely certain. It feels great, it feels like confidence, but as we're about to see, it's often a massive red flag. So here's the disconnect. On the surface, you feel confident, right? But what's really going on psychologically is that this certainty often stems from a place of not even knowing what you don't know. Genuinely smart people are actually a little uncomfortable with certainty because they have a better sense of how complex things really are.
And you know what? This phenomenon actually has a name. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a super well-documented cognitive bias. And basically it says that the people with the least knowledge about something are the most likely to be wildly overconfident. Why? Because they don't have enough expertise to even see the giant gaps in their own understanding.
This really gets to the heart of it. The second your brain tells you, oh, I already know this, it's over. Curiosity just dies on the spot. Your thinking doesn't just slow down, it hits a brick wall. It's a complete dead end.
All right, let's move on to our second big sign, and you'll see how it builds on the first one. We're talking about cognitive rigidity. You know, that tendency to just cling to your beliefs no matter what new evidence comes along.
You know, a lot of people get this totally backwards. They think stubbornly holding on to a belief is a sign of strength, of conviction. But the psychology shows the complete opposite is true. Being able to update your beliefs when you get new information isn't weakness, it is literally what intelligent thinking looks like in the real world. It just means you care more about the truth than about your ego being right.
So here's the bottom line on this one. When you're clinging to an old belief just to avoid admitting you are wrong, you're not standing firm. You're just standing perfectly still while the world, and the truth, moves on without you.
Okay, number 3. This is a habit our brains absolutely love because, frankly, it saves a lot of energy. It's the habit of taking these incredibly complex, messy issues and boiling them down into simple, comfortable, easy-to-digest answers. We often call this black and white thinking, and you hear it in the language people use all the time. Words like always, never, or it's obvious. When you hear that, it's a huge clue that the brain is taking a shortcut. It's doing less work, not more, because it's avoiding the messy, nuanced reality of the whole situation. Real intelligence, on the other hand, does the hard work. It dives headfirst into that nuance. It has the capacity to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and just sit with that discomfort because it gets that reality almost never fits neatly into one simple little box.
So let's talk about the fourth sign. This one is a little more subtle. It's what happens when the questions just stop. See, at some point, a lot of people start to believe that asking questions makes them look stupid or ignorant, so they just go quiet. And that silence, it's incredibly expensive. It's one of the costliest mistakes a mind can make. It's not just a missed chance to learn something, it's a fundamental roadblock to your own intellectual growth.
And the neuroscience on this is crystal clear. Curiosity isn't just some fluffy personality trait, it is the engine of learning. It actively drives your brain to create new pathways, new connections. So when you stop asking why and how, that engine just sputters and shuts down. The brain's construction project literally grinds to a halt. And that brings us to our fifth and final habit. And honestly, this might be the most difficult one for any of us to confront. It's the pattern of blaming everything and everyone else for every single failure. Look, of course unfair things happen. There are always outside factors. But if your default setting for every single setback is to find the cause entirely outside of yourself, blaming other people, your boss, bad luck, the system, you are actively robbing yourself of the single most powerful tool you have, the chance to actually learn from what happened.
The skill that fights this is something called metacognition. It's a bit of a fancy word, but all it means is the ability to think about your own thinking, to step outside of yourself and honestly look at your own actions and decisions. It is the engine of self-improvement, and psychologists have linked it directly to high-level intelligence.
Because without that ability to look inward, you're basically trapped. All feedback just sounds like an attack, and you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Not because the universe is against you, but because your own mind refuses to just look in a mirror.
So, as we start to wrap this up, let's circle all the way back to that central idea we started with. Intelligence isn't something you have, it's something you do. It's a process. It's a set of active habits.
So here they are, the 5 big ones, all in one place. That trap of overconfidence and certainty, rigid thinking that refuses to grow, oversimplifying complex realities, intellectual passivity, that silence of curiosity, and of course, the constant blame game.
And the most important takeaway is this. These habits don't just hurt your career or mess up your relationships. They do something much deeper. They fundamentally limit the depth and quality of your own mind. They put a hard ceiling on your ability to think clearly at all.
So, I'll leave you with this one last challenging question. Look at that list again and be truly honest with yourself. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for you. Which of these habits do you recognize, even just a little bit, in your own patterns of thought?